All right, I got my Raspberry Pi out. Haven't played this in a little while, and there was a couple of games that I wanted to play recently that I knew were on here, so I thought I would get it out. And I figured while I had it out, I would show you guys. A few things have been updated on this since I built it and showed it in the video a few years ago. So I'll just turn it on here to start. Got a Retrobit 6-button Sega controller with a ridiculously long cable. The cable's actually, in my opinion, longer than I would like, which is probably great for some people, but yeah, it's like 10 feet long or something crazy. While this is booting up, I'll point out one little difference. We can hear the fan, but the power light's not on yet. So as soon as I turned that switch on, the fan kicked in. It is booting up, yet the power light didn't come on right away. The power light just came on there. I don't know if you saw that. But the power light comes on when it's, mostly booted up. It does take a minute or so to boot up. Yeah, that's part of the soft power script that I've installed. And that changes the way the power switch works and the reset button works. So I'll try and show you that. Also, the fact there's a fan in there. When I first built this thing and put it together, I didn't have the fan right away, and it did overheat a little bit. And so I pretty much right away I ordered the fan, and the fan came in and I installed that. So yeah, a few weird things that have changed for some reason. On my receiver now, when I turn it on, it says Raspberry on the screen, which that's just kind of funny. It used to say something really generic like, I don't know, it was like video on a chip or on chip video. I think it said on chip video on the receiver when the Raspberry Pi turned on. Just a really generic name. Alright, I got you set up there. Again, we're using a Genesis style 6-button controller. I can also, of course, use these 8-bit do, Bluetooth style controllers. There is Bluetooth built into that Raspberry Pi 3B Plus. And like I was saying, there's a couple games that I've been wanting to play recently, and I knew they were on here, so... First one is Metal Slug. Metal Slug is a game that, I've seen before. I've maybe played, quickly here or there just to see what it was like, but I've never really gotten into it and played it seriously. So this is a game that, recently I've been wanting to play. And of course, these are games you can emulate on a PC, and I've said it before, probably even better than you can on here, if it really comes down to it. But it's nice just to have something that you can plug in. It's always ready to go. It's always got all these games on here. And yeah, as you can see, it runs just fine. Really no issues with the Neo Geo emulation on here. Anyways, as you can see, that runs pretty good. Hopefully the exposure on my phone is set okay. To quit any game, we can just press mode on this button, controller, mode and start. We'll quit any game and bring it back to the menu. So yeah, Neo Geo works pretty good. And yeah, I was playing this earlier, so um, you know, I got further into to Metal Slug than I've ever been. Another game, I don't know, for some reason that I wanted to play um, is Final Fight on the arcade. See, we got lots of arcade games on here. I think there's like 1,000, over 1,000 arcade games in here. And yeah, Final Fight for some reason. I wanted to play the arcade version of Final Fight. And I mean, again, emulation is nothing new. Had arcade MAME emulation on PC for decades now, but it's just, again, it's nice to have it in something where I know these ROMs are always here, they're always ready to go, and yeah, again, the arcade emulation on here works very well. You can see there, it's very smooth. And again, this was a game I was playing earlier today, and got pretty far in. Of course, it's not hard when you have, you know, unlimited virtual quarters, right? What is the top hat? What does the hat do? I like the little like bezels. You know, most of the games on here, they've been pre-set up with you know, artwork and videos to show the gameplay when you're in the menu and the bezels, and that's really nice. And again, you can do that on PC, but it's just nice that it's all set up. And you know, to be honest, this was just one image file that I downloaded, and I don't even remember how many games. There's like 7,500 games, I think, on this thing. I mean, basically every game for Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis, TurboGrafx 16, Neo Geo. And anyways, again, mode and start. We'll quit. And yeah, again, I just wanted to show these two games. They were games I was playing earlier on here, and I figured I would show you the Raspberry Pi. Now that it has the fan installed, it doesn't overheat. The fan's a little noisy, a little kind of high pitched. You know, it's I don't even remember, it's like a 40 millimeter fan maybe. It's not a very large fan, and it was just a cheap generic fan. It's not like the you know, it's not like a Noctua. I think they make a little 40 millimeter fan that you could put in here. But yeah, the MegaPi Raspberry Pi 3 is running great. A little more on how this soft power script thing works. When I first got this thing set up, I didn't have the scripts installed. And so basically the power button was like literally turning on the power switch is the equivalent of plugging the power in, and then turning the power switch off is literally, it's like as if you just pulled the power out of the, you know, just straight pulled the power out of it. And that's not good for like the files on the SD card. And yeah, I think you're more likely, I would guess anyways, you'd be more likely to corrupt possibly some of the OS files on the SD card, always doing it that way. And so now, if I turn it off, it's actually shutting it down properly. And so, yeah, it's it's funny because it's not tied to the power light directly anymore. It used to be as soon as you turned it on, the power light would come on. And now, like, it's on, the fan is spinning, but the power light is not on. And again, it will come on when it gets kind of like 80% through booting up. And again, it does take a good minute. It does take a good minute for this thing to boot up. So if it weren't for the fan, you wouldn't hear anything, and you'd turn the power switch on, and you would think nothing happened. Did anything happen? Is the power switch broken? But you can hear the fan, so you know it's on. And then there, the power light just came on there. And once the power light comes on, it's pretty much at the point where it's starting to load emulation station. And it also changes what reset did. Basically, reset before hitting reset would just be like as if you pulled the power out and popped the power back in. But now the reset button can actually do different things. Like if you're in a game, hitting the reset button could bring up a menu asking if you want to quit the game, or it might just bring you out of the game. It might just reset the game you're in. It can do different things now based on the software. Hitting reset's not just cutting the power and putting the power back on. So yeah, it's turn the volume down a little bit. It's running great, and it runs the arcade games and the Neo Geo games pretty well. And I think it was safe to say up the PlayStation, it runs pretty well. Again, this is the MegaPi case. A very nice little case setup. So again, I'll turn that off. You'll see the power light there blinks, and it's doing a safe shutdown. It's actually shutting down Linux properly, which again may be better for the files on the SD card in terms of getting corrupt. This case, get the fake volume slider, opens up just a little storage caddy. I've got an extra SD card in there that has like a Linux, the Raspbian, so like a desktop environment. If I want to load into an actual desktop environment, have a web browser, VLC on there to play video files, that's on there. This pops open. It's kind of hard to open. You gotta pull. Feels like you're gonna break it every time you do it, but that's where your SD card is loaded in. And then where the Sega CD port is here, this pops off, and that's where the extra USB ports and the network jack is. In there I have a little dongle, like a USB dongle for like a wireless keyboard and mouse. When it's in desktop, when it's in a desktop environment, I can do that. And then yeah, on the back is your HDMI, your power, and the 3.5 millimeter composite stereo jack. If you want to go analog out to like a CRT, I guess you could. But yeah, I just use it with HDMI. But yeah, it's still running great. Again, it was overheating, especially when it was overclocked. It was overheating without the fan in there, and now it doesn't overheat even when it's overclocked. It's not overclocked right now. I typically don't have it overclocked, but I can overclock it now and it won't overheat, so that's a bonus. So yeah, that's it, guys. See you later.